So, I had a chance to see Call Me By Your Name last night, and oh my god, this movie, it, so seriously, if somehow the director, Luca, I believe you say his name is Luca Guadagnino, I think, I apologize if I said that wrong, but the director, Luca, he has crafted a fucking masterpiece here. Um, this movie is so good. Literally, if director Luca, if he's watching this somehow, just know that unfortunately it's like -5 or -8 degrees out right now outside. But if I could have finished this movie and just walked into the woods and just got lost for a while just to think about this movie, I would have, because this movie really, really fucking touched me. This is an emotionally powerful visual poem. It's a visually poetically told film. It's tender, it's sweet, it's heartbreaking, it's deeply romantic. Easily the most romantic, the best love story of the year so far. It's just such a tender, poignant, haunting, mystifying story. You know, it takes place in 1983, somewhere in Italy. Timothée Chalamet, he does such a great job, and he falls in love with Armie Hammer's character, and the two of them, Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet, they fall in love with each other during this beautiful, blissful summer in Italy. And I think that's all that I'll really say. I feel like you should dive into this film without knowing too much at all, actually, because let me tell you, the story, their romance is told in such a these performances from Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet, their performances, they're so magnetic. Their chemistry is so palpable. It's so just searing. The amount of passion and lust, primal lust that Armie and Timothy have for each other in their performances is astonishing. I mean, seriously, after we finally got into the first kiss, once they finally first kiss, it's they're just so sensual around each other. It's like every time they look at each other, they just want to they're just hungry for each other. It's fucking insane. I just can't. Their performances are just I don't understand how this is acting. How the fuck is this acting? How is this acting? There's nothing about their performances that feels like acting. It feels like literally Timothy and Armie Hammer. It feels like they've just been dating for the past 5 years or some shit, and the director Luca was just like, "Hey, I need two men to fall in love. You guys you guys are already in love. You want to jump in this movie?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." It blows my mind that this is the first time that Timothy and Armie have ever worked together. I think it's the first time that either of them have ever done like a gay film ever. I think. It's just mind melting, the performances. It's so raw throughout this whole film. The opening moments to this film, with the shots of statues like this, photographs, and the beautiful font, and the music is so good in this film. Just the fluttering piano instrumentals throughout this film are just so fucking gorgeous and just heart achingly good. The soundtrack is. This The soundtrack is so good. It's so dreamlike. It's just so blissful. It kind of reminds me of Boards of Canada in a way. And this movie has the best usage of the song Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs. This movie is about letting go. It's about sexual awakening. It's about first love. Um, and the ending of this film is just so fucking heartbreaking. And the final image in this film is just, it just sears the final image in this film. It just sears itself into your brain, like it imprints itself onto your brain. It's an unforgettable image. I don't know how, whether you love or hate this film, I don't know how anyone could walk away from this film and say that it was unforgettable. Images like this, the cinematography is some of the year's best. It's almost like an amalgamation of Terrence Malick and the cinematography that could be found in Blue is the Warmest Color. I love this film so much, but I really don't want to give it away because a lot of it, this film is so different. Like the first kiss doesn't happen for a long time, and their relationship doesn't start romantically for a long time in this movie. It's a very slow burning film. It takes its time. It really lets scenes breathe. But because it does that, I was never bored. And because it takes that technique, you really buy into the chemistry between Armie and Timothy. Like, it feels like they truly love each other. It's insane. By the way, there's a scene in this movie that utilizes a peach that is... Whoa! Wow! The whole movie is like that. The whole movie feels like I'm watching something that's actually happening. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a movie, It doesn't have the usual romantic tropes that you might be expecting. Even with the filmmaking, there's lots of flies everywhere. When two characters are talking by the road, you actually hear the traffic realistically. The audio isn't Hollywoodized. You actually hear the train screaming in the background. You hear the screeching of the cars, and you can hear them trying to talk loud over the traffic. You know what I mean? There's a level of realism to the audio and to the way that the film is shot. Like, the film is naturally lit a lot of the time, relying on just like sunlight or just light from the actual bulbs in a room as opposed to artificially Hollywood lighting everything. Yeah, I just love this film. It's just so intense, and it's just such a haunting film. And it's just one of the most beautiful romance films I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, it's an easy 10 out of 10. It's a fucking masterpiece. Like, I was really moved by this film. Whoa. That's all I really gotta say about it. Let me know your thoughts down below, but seriously, my hat's off to his whole team. And Timothy, he was in Lady Killer and Interstellar, and we're talking about some of the best films I've ever watched in my entire life. So he's really someone to pay attention to because I think he should be nominated, and I think he should win an Oscar for this role. He is just astonishingly good. I highly recommend this film. It's just... it almost left me speechless. And one more thing that I'll say before I go is that the speech that Michael Stuhlbarg makes here is one of the greatest monologues I've ever heard from any character, from any genre, from any artistic medium that involves storytelling. From any character. It's one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard. It is just spooky how beautiful that speech is. And I think that, like, everyone should hear it. You know what I'm saying? I was just so taken aback by that speech. Just a beautifully written character, but And the way that they capture Italy is just so gorgeous. Like, it reminded me of when I went to Portland, Oregon in July, and I remember I did a lot of hiking, and I just fell in love with the nature out there. I really connected with the nature out there. You know, it was like I became one with nature somehow out there. And I know that they said that a lot of Call Me by Your Name was shot in the director's homeland, and you can tell, you know, because the way that he shoots the environments, it's like you're there. It's like you're there in Italy. It feels like you've been transported there for like 2 hours. And the way they shot the film, there's really this sense that there's a real sense of letting go, you know. That seems to be a big point in this film, to let go, to give yourself over to the experience or to the environment, which is what I did when I was in Portland, Oregon. I really just let myself go and really just explored and basked in the beauty of the landscape there. Um, I really fell in love with the nature there. And you could tell that this film wants you to fall in love with the visuals of Italy, too. It's just a gorgeous film. Shit. Anyway,